Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show that takes the biggest stack of research, news, and notes and gives you the fastest path to being the most informed person in the room.
Today, we are undertaking a deep dive into, well, probably the most personal digital revolution happening right now. We're talking about the world of digital wellness.
Right. This is where these incredibly sophisticated tools put everything from a licensed therapist to intense fitness planning, all of it right in your pocket.
It's an absolutely fascinating space, and it's grown so quickly, you can now, hire a licensed clinician through an encrypted chat on your phone.
Or have a surprisingly deep conversation with an AI about your anxieties.
Exactly. Or even have an algorithm design your perfect workout based on your real-time biometric data.
Yeah.
But the mission for this deep dive, and it's a critical one, is to bring some context and, frankly, some critical analysis to this market.
We really need to separate the established, the clinically proven, human-backed resources from this absolute explosion of new, very aggressively marketed AI-driven solutions.
And we have to establish the stakes right away because they are immense, both medically and financially.
So what are we talking about in terms of market size?
It's staggering. The global mental health market, just in general, hit something like $450 million in 2024.
$450 billion. Wow.
Right. But the part we're really digging into, the AI mental health slice of that pie, that's where the story gets really explosive. It was valued at just over $1 billion in 2023.
Okay, so a tiny fraction of the total.
For now. But the projections show it accelerating at a compound annual growth rate of 24% through 2030.
24%. That tells you everything you need to know about where the investment money is flowing.
It does. It tells you where the future is headed. And that's why our mission today has to be understanding the fundamental trade-offs here. I mean, when you move from a human therapist to an algorithm, what are you actually gaining?
And what are you losing? I mean, the gains seem obvious on the surface.
They are. You gain incredible access, true 24/7 support, which, a human just can't provide. And you get a level of personalization that can be really powerful. The algorithm is learning about you constantly.
But the flip side of that coin is, what are the critical things you might be giving up?
And we're looking specifically at a few things here. Clinical rigor, full transparency in how the advice is even generated, and maybe the most important thing in any therapeutic relationship, trust.
So to tackle this full spectrum, our source material is pretty comprehensive. We've got hands-on reviews from a licensed clinical social worker. She compared the giants, Talkspace, Calm, Headspace.
We also have detailed market analysis on that new guard of AI mental health companions, so apps like Wysa and Yuna.
And maybe the most critical piece of the puzzle, we have a rigorous scientific evaluation that looks at the actual usability and the trustworthiness of those AI symptom checker apps. We're talking about big names here like ADA and WebMD.
So we're really giving you the full picture. What works, what it really costs, and maybe most importantly, what might break your trust when a machine gives you a scary health answer.
Okay, so let's start where this whole digital wellness movement really found its footing. With the apps that keep a human in the loop, or at least offer these deeply validated, clinically structured techniques.
Right. These are the established players, the models that have been around long enough to gather real user data and, crucially, get some form of clinical endorsement.
So they're basically taking proven therapeutic approaches and just changing the delivery method.
Exactly. They're migrating it into a digital space. You're getting familiar, proven things like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, or direct talk therapy, just with the convenience of your phone.
And leading the charge there, in that online therapy category, you have the two titans, Talkspace and BetterHelp. Let's really break down the critical differences between them.
Okay, so Talkspace. Our sources consistently define Talkspace as the best choice for people who want the most expansive range of services. It's not just basic counseling.
It's more of a one-stop shop.
Precisely. You get individual therapy, of course.
Yeah.
But they also offer specialized couples therapy, dedicated teen therapy, access to psychiatry, and even integrated medication management. All of it is handled right there in the app.
And what's the actual experience like? How do you interact with a therapist?
The key feature that really defines the experience is this model of unlimited messaging with your licensed therapist 5 days a week.
So you're not just waiting for a once-a-week session. You can send a message whenever something comes up.
Exactly. And then you also have the option for your scheduled live video, audio, or even live chat sessions. But the single biggest point of differentiation, the thing that could really matter to you as a consumer, is their insurance coverage.
Okay, the money part.
The money part. And it's a massive deal. We really need to unpack why. When you're dealing with health services, the difference between in-network and out-of-network is, well, it's huge.
It's the difference between a small copay and a bill for hundreds of dollars.
Right. Talkspace has wide in-network coverage. You can check your eligibility right in the app, and that just removes a huge barrier to entry for so many people. It can drastically lower the costs.
So what are we talking about cost-wise if you're paying out of pocket?
You're looking at roughly $69 to $109 per week, billed monthly. But again, with good insurance, that can drop dramatically.
And they have a cheaper option too, right?
They do. It's called Talkspace Go. It's completely self-guided counseling for about $30 a month. It can be a good starting point or a supplement to live sessions. The social worker who reviewed it consistently praised the professionalism of the therapists.
Okay, so that's Talkspace, broad services, great insurance integration. How does BetterHelp stack up against that?
So BetterHelp, our review source, tagged this one as best for between-session support. And big part of that is their sheer scale.
Scale in what sense?
Their pool of providers, they have over 32,000 licensed professionals.
32,000, that's a huge number. And what kind of professionals are we talking about?
It's a wide range. You've got LCSWs, which are licensed clinical social workers, LPCs, licensed professional counselors, LMFTs, so licensed marriage and family therapists, and PsySIDs, doctors of psychology.
So that breadth means they can probably match you with someone pretty quickly.
Generally, yes. And like Talkspace, the communication is flexible. You can do text, chat, audio, video sessions. But where BetterHelp really builds its value is outside of that scheduled session.
The between-session support you mentioned?
Exactly. You get that asynchronous messaging anytime. But more importantly, they offer over 150 digital worksheets and modules.
So if you're working on, say, anxiety, you get homework?
Kind of. You get structured digital resources that help you practice the techniques you learn in your sessions. And on top of that, you get free access to over 20 weekly live interactive group seminars.
That's a lot of extra value. So how does the cost compare?
The sticker price is comparable, usually between $70 and $100 per week, billed monthly. But, and this is the crucial trade-off,
The
insurance. The reviews point out that BetterHelp does not typically offer in-network coverage.
So even if the weekly price looks similar, you as the consumer are likely paying a much higher effective rate.
Very often, yes. It forces you to make a really concrete decision. Do you prioritize the huge provider pool and all that extra support from BetterHelp? Or do you prioritize the potential cost savings and ease of use from Talkspace's insurance integration?
It's a classic friction point. And for something like therapy, which is a long-term commitment, that financial friction can be the deciding factor.
Absolutely.
Okay, so moving away from direct one-on-one therapy, let's talk about the foundational practices, the apps that are more about mindfulness, meditation, and structured cognitive techniques.
Right. These are often lower cost, and they're really designed for habit building. And the two biggest names that everyone knows in this space are, of course, Headspace and Calm.
They get grouped together all the time, but they have pretty different focuses, don't they?
They do. It's a subtle but important difference. Headspace is overwhelmingly tagged as the best for meditation.
As in, for someone who actually wants to learn the practice of meditation.
Exactly. Someone looking to build a genuine mindfulness practice. They offer over 1,000 guided meditations and exercises, all focused on mindfulness, sleep, and stress. And the key thing that came out of user testing was the clarity of the language.
So good for beginners.
Incredibly accessible for beginners. The approach is simple, it's clear. They really focus on making meditation a daily habit. And their pricing reflects that goal of accessibility.
What's the cost on that?
There's a 14-day free trial, and then it's about $13 a month, or $70 for the year. They've clearly tried to minimize that commitment friction for people just wanting to dip their toes in.
Okay, so Headspace is for meditation practice. What about Calm?
Calm is, without a doubt, best for sleep.
The sleep stories.
The sleep stories are their signature product. They have soundscapes and guided meditations too, but the stories are the star. They're basically these lulling narrations, often read by famous voices. And the content is intentionally, and I'm quoting the tester feedback here, designed to be boring.
Ah, I love that. So it's interesting enough to distract you from your own anxious thoughts.
But not so interesting that you feel like you have to stay awake to find out what happens. It's a genius piece of psychological design.
And does it work?
The feedback from our sources was unanimous on this. It was really striking. Users consistently reported they have never heard the ending of a single sleep story.
They were just out.
Lights out. They've perfected the formula for just helping you drift off.
Okay, but let's go back to that critical financial friction point. The pricing model for Calm is a little different.
It is, and it's a huge detail to call out. Unlike almost every other app we looked at, Calm offers no monthly subscription.
None at all.
Nope. You get a 1-week trial, and if you like it, you jump straight to an $80 annual commitment. Or you can pay $400 for a lifetime subscription.
That's a big jump. So if you're just going through a stressful few months and think this might help, you're locked in for a whole year.
It's a major consideration. Calm is betting that once you incorporate their tool into your sleep routine, you won't want to live without it. It's a very confident pricing strategy.
It really is. Okay, there's one more in this category that's really interesting and highly specialized. It's called Worry Watch.
Yes, this one focuses purely on core cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. It's designed specifically to address that vicious loop of anxiety and worrying.
So how does it do that?
The main feature is a guided journal. It's designed to make you track your mood, your triggers, the context, and then, this is the key part, identify your cognitive distortions.
Let's break that down. What are cognitive distortions?
They're those biased ways of thinking that our brains fall into. Things like catastrophizing, where you assume the worst-case scenario, or all-or-nothing thinking.
Right.
The goal of the app is to help you recognize those patterns in your own thinking and then challenge those thoughts. You're effectively trying to rewire that anxiety response.
And the tester insight on this one was really profound. It's not about forcing you to be positive all the time.
No, and that's critical. It avoids what people often call toxic positivity. It actually allows you to validate when, yes, the outcome was as bad as you feared.
So it trusts your perception of reality.
It trusts your perception, but it encourages you to analyze your reaction to that perception. It builds trust, and it's really effective for mild to moderate anxiety. Plus, it's super affordable, about $3 a month, but it is iOS only for now.
Okay, so if we zoom out and look at this whole first group talk space, Calm, Worry Watch, what's the big so what? What's the common thread?
The common thread is clinical validity and structured approaches. These are all models that leverage established successful human therapeutic practices like CBT and mindfulness.
They're built on a foundation we know works.
Exactly. They maintain rigorous standards. They often involve licensed professionals. The trade-off pretty much every time is the cost, which can be high, especially without insurance. Or the limitations on accessibility, needing an appointment, being locked into a contract.
So they're mature, responsible platforms, but they require a serious commitment, either of your time or your money.
That's a perfect summary.
And that idea of commitment, both financial and in terms of scheduling, is the perfect bridge to our next category, because it's precisely why we're seeing this explosive market growth in purely AI-driven tools.
This is the new wave, the AI mental health companions. And they are driven by a set of promises that, frankly, traditional therapy just cannot match.
And the appeal is really simple to grasp, isn't it?
Incredibly simple. First, you have true 24/7 access. You get support the second you need it. 3 in the morning, middle of a Sunday, it doesn't matter. No wait lists, no appointments.
Second, the cost is just way lower. It has to be. It's inherently more affordable than paying a licensed professional by the hour.
Third is privacy. For anyone who feels, hesitant or even embarrassed to talk about certain things with another person, the AI is a completely anonymous, non-judgmental ear.
And finally, and this is the big promise of AI, personalization.
Right. This isn't just a static program. A dedicated AI companion is continuously learning about your emotional state, your history, your triggers, and it tailors its advice and its exercises based on that ongoing learning.
The idea is a mental health guide that gets smarter the more you talk to it.
That's the promise.
So let's look at some of the key players here. I know one that has really tried to get clinical validation is WISA.
Yes, WISA is a big one. It's widely recognized. It offers AI emotional support, primarily using CBT techniques, but it also has a hybrid model where you can get seamless access to human therapists if you want.
And it has a huge user base.
Over 5 million users. And critically, they have actively sought out external clinical backing. This is what really separates WISA from just another chatbot.
They have some kind of FDA designation, right?
They do. It's the FDA's Breakthrough Device designation. And that is not handed out lightly. It's reserved for tools that show the potential to improve treatment options for serious conditions faster than traditional methods.
So that FDA recognition gives it a layer of legitimacy that most apps in this space just don't have.
It's a massive distinction. It means WISA is recognized as being comparable to in-person counseling, but at a fraction of the cost. They really are a leader in that hybrid approach.
Okay, what about some of the more specialized apps?
Well, you have apps like Sonia, which focuses very heavily on anxiety management. It offers voice and text support, flexible sessions from 5 to 30 minutes, and its standout feature is a structured 6-week program for generalized anxiety disorder.
So very targeted intervention.
Very. Then you have Una, which targets a specific user profile. It's voice first. It's for the talkers, not the typers.
For people who would rather speak their feelings out loud than write them in a journal.
Exactly. It offers real-time reflections. It's all encrypted. It's designed to be a flexible way to process emotions purely on your own schedule.
And there's one more, Youper.
Yes, Youper is interesting because it provides personalized AI therapy built using not just CBT, but also ACT and DBT.
Okay, let's quickly define those for anyone who's not a clinician. We know CBT is about challenging negative thoughts.
Yeah.
What are ACT and DBT?
So ACT is acceptance and commitment therapy. It's more about being present, accepting difficult thoughts without judgment, and committing to actions that align with your values.
Okay.
And DBT is dialectical behavior therapy. It's often used for more intense emotional regulation issues and focuses on balancing change with acceptance.
So Youper is integrating all three of those modalities.
It is. It also has daily mood tracking, and they have sought out clinical evidence. They've shown benefits in reducing anxiety and depression among their paying users, which is a good sign.
But the fact that we're highlighting WISA and Youper for even attempting to get clinical proof, that brings us to the giant caveat here.
It does. It brings us to the massive gap between the market hype and the clinical reality. The truth is, the vast majority of AI mental health apps, it's the Wild West.
Few have gone through any rigorous testing.
Very few. Not the kind of randomized clinical testing we'd expect for any traditional health intervention. And unlike licensed human therapists who are held to strict medical and ethical standards, most of these AI models are not.
And the biggest issue seems to be a total lack of transparency. You have no idea what data was used to train these things.
And that's a profound problem. If the data that taught the AI how to respond to trauma or depression is flawed or biased or incomplete,
then the advice it gives you is also flawed and biased.
Mm-hmm.
And you, the user, have no way of knowing. It's the unclear source equals unclear outcomes problem on a massive scale.
And this lack of rigor gets really troubling when you look at reviews of apps for vulnerable populations, specifically child-focused AI apps.
What did the research find there?
A comprehensive review highlighted some really serious functionality limitations. For instance, many of the apps for kids relied on static large language models.
Meaning they don't learn or update after they're deployed?
Exactly. The underlying knowledge base doesn't change. And this led to just ineffective processing in 12 of the reviewed apps. Even worse, 7 of them were noted for giving repetitive, canned responses when a kid tried to talk about something outside of a standard theme.
So a child is trying to express a complex feeling, and the app just says the same 2 lines over and over again.
Imagine that. It's a massive failure for a tool that's marketed as being personalized and supportive.
And I'm guessing they aren't free either.
Not at all. The review found that 74% of these child-focused apps required payment, and the average cost was over $20 a month.
$20 a month for what might just be boilerplate answers. That's a perfect storm. High tech, high cost, but low functionality and almost no clinical proof.
And despite 74% of the apps claiming they use clinically validated treatments like CBT, the overall effectiveness was largely untested. Only 2, Wobot and Youper, had actually undergone a published clinical trial. It's a field that is very long on potential and very short on proof.
That lack of proof, and especially that lack of transparency, leads us right into the most critical part of this deep dive: trust. This is where we look at what happens when these AI health tools actually meet the real world.
Yes. This section uses a rigorous scientific evaluation to understand what happens with AI symptom checkers. We're talking about big names you would recognize: ADA, Medictor, and of course, WebMD.
And this study used a really interesting methodology to get a complete picture.
It did. It was a triangulated evaluation, which is just a fancy way of saying they looked at the problem from multiple angles to get a more reliable result.
So how did they do it?
They combined 2 layers. First, 5 usability experts used a special 13-item AI-specific checklist to test the app's design logic. Second, they recruited 30 regular users, a diverse group, ages 18 to 65, and had them complete 5 core health tasks.
What kind of tasks?
Everything from basic account creation to complex symptom assessment. Things like searching for severe back pain coupled with difficulty breathing, or inputting a more nuanced scenario for anxiety.
Okay, let's get right to the results. How did users feel about these apps? Did the massive grand power of WebMD win out?
This is where it gets really interesting. They measure satisfaction using something called the System Usability Scale, or SUS score. It's a scale from 0 to 100. ADA, the AI-first tool, got the highest average score, an 80.4. Medicare was second with a 72.0. But here's the shocker. WebMD trailed significantly. It scored a 56.8.
56.8. That's almost a failing grade in usability terms. For a household name like WebMD, that is astonishing.
It's a critical finding. It shows that brand recognition means absolutely nothing in the AI space if the user experience is broken. The experts actually rated the apps fairly well on basic design, but the real users ran into these deep functional problems.
What were the specific problems with WebMD that drove that score so low?
The users cited a cluttered interface, inconsistent design, and just very limited interactive feedback. The experts also flagged major issues they called diagnosis and input gaps.
Meaning you couldn't actually describe your symptoms properly.
Exactly. The flexibility was so limited, it created a very real risk of misdiagnosis. And they also had severe issues in something called AI explainability, which is the core problem here.
And what about ADA? It scored the highest, but was it perfect?
No, and this is where the nuance is so important. Despite that high overall score, ADA users actually committed the highest number of errors on complex tasks, especially when they tried to input multiple symptoms.
So it looked good, but it was fragile.
Right. The experts gave it a severe rating for error prevention, meaning the app would just let you input invalid or contradictory information without flagging it. A sleek design doesn't make up for a lack of robustness.
And Medcotter, the one in the middle.
Users really struggled with its branching question logic. You know how these checkers ask you a series of questions to narrow things down?
Yeah, like a decision tree.
Right. Users found that logic confusing and frustrating. Even though the buttons and the layout were fine, the fundamental flow of the AI's questions just didn't make sense to the human trying to answer them.
So if we look at all three of these big apps, ADA, Medictor, WebMD, what was the single most critical finding that speaks to the future of AI in health?
It's the core problem of explainable AI, or XAI. This is, without a doubt, the most critical finding in the whole study. All 3 apps, all of them, failed the key explainability heuristics.
They failed to provide the transparency cues a user needs to actually trust the outcome.
Precisely.
So let's focus on that. What were the specific, crucial features that were missing? The things that broke user trust?
There were 3 key things that were absent across the board. First, none of the apps provided confidence scores for their recommendations.
So when it says you might have condition X, it doesn't tell you if the AI is 98% sure or 52% sure.
Exactly. And that probability is vital for you to decide what to do next. Second, none of them offered any interpretable rationales for the results.
The why?
The why. The diagnosis just appears out of a black box. There's no explanation of the logical path the AI took, what symptoms it weighted most heavily, nothing. And third, there was a total lack of information on the AI model's limitations. You didn't know when you were using the system outside of its intended tested purpose.
That opaqueness, that black box effect.
Yeah.
It's just devastating for trust when you're talking about your health. If I'm supposed to trust an answer that could influence whether I go to the ER, I have to know how the machine got there.
And that's the severe implication here. This opacity leads users to hesitate, to misinterpret the results, or worse, to just ignore them completely. It's a genuine safety concern. The study's main recommendation is for designers to embed these XAI cues to build trust. Without showing your work, so to speak, these tools risk being seen as just novelties, not as reliable healthcare partners.
Okay, let's shift gears now from the mental and diagnostic side over to physical wellness. This is where AI is used less for therapy and more for intense personalization and performance optimization.
Right. Here, the focus is really on maximizing output, whether it's losing weight, building muscle, or even trying to extend your health span. This segment really showcases AI's power to use vast amounts of continuous personal data to create these dynamic, evolving plans.
Starting with psychology and nutrition, the big name is Noom. And they're famous for going beyond just simple calorie counting.
They focus heavily on the psychology behind your habits, the why you eat, not just the what. It's a comprehensive behavior change program. You get daily bite-sized lessons, a color-coded food system, and a mix of human coaching and AI support to keep you on track.
And they're also moving into the pharmaceutical space now, right?
Aggressively. They have a new offering, the Noom GLP-1RX program, and this is designed specifically to maximize success for people taking those blockbuster weight loss drugs like Ozempic or Wegovy.
So how does that work?
Well, it provides the behavioral support you need, but it also includes a specific muscle defense program. This is crucial. These medications are very effective for weight loss, but they often cause you to lose a lot of muscle along with the fat.
Which is not what you want.
Not at all. So Noom's program focuses intensely on protein tracking and provides on-demand resistance workouts designed to mitigate that muscle loss. It's a very targeted AI intervention based on a new pharmacological reality.
On a slightly different note, we have Fujicate, which is more about food quality.
Right. Fujicate is like a food detective. It gives packaged food a letter grade, A through D, to help you understand what you're really eating. It prioritizes things like minimizing refined sugar and avoiding additives. You use a barcode scanner, it explains the pros and cons, and it even suggests healthier alternatives.
So that's for people who want to understand ingredients, not just count calories.
Exactly. But when AI is applied to a seemingly simple task like calorie counting, the real-world feedback shows some surprisingly basic problems that destroy user trust.
Yes, we have a fascinating case study here from an analysis of reviews for a top AI calorie tracker called Cal AI.
This is a real cautionary tale for developers. The analysis found 3 major complaints, and none of them had to do with sophisticated AI mistakes.
The first, which was 21% of complaints, was what they called the fake free trial dark pattern.
Yes. Users were forced to spend 5 minutes putting in all their personal data weight, height, goals, building up this time commitment, only to get hit with a hard paywall before they could even try the main feature.
And they were furious.
They used words like scammed and predatory. They felt their time had been stolen. Not a great way to start a wellness journey.
And the second complaint, a massive 27% of the issues, was even more basic.
The broken button bug. A huge number of users just reported that the Add Food button, the single most important feature in the whole app, would just freeze or crash.
It's baffling. It just shows that if the most basic function doesn't work, nobody cares how fancy your AI is. The user assumes the whole product is junk.
It completely undermines everything. And the third major complaint, at 25%, was the accuracy gap.
Users lost trust instantly if the AI gave them an estimate they knew was wrong.
Right. If you market your AI as this magic instant solution, but then it tells you a slice of pizza is 200 calories, the user's trust just evaporates. They hold AI to a much higher standard than a manual logger.
It goes right back to that explainable AI problem. If the AI can't show its work, a single wrong number can make you question the entire invisible system.
Absolutely. Now, moving into fitness, this is where AI can really shine in personalized planning. The user inputs all their data, age, weight, goals, equipment available, and the AI generates these dynamic routines.
And they really are dynamic. It's not just a static plan. It adjusts in real time based on your performance.
Exactly. If you log a weak performance on a squat, the AI might adjust the weight or the reps for next time. It keeps the workouts challenging but safe and helps prevent plateauing.
And there are a lot of tools in this space.
A lot. You have Fitness AI for strength training. MyFitnessPal integrates nutrition and fitness. JFit is great for structured weightlifting. And Fitbot is really cool. It crafts plans based on whatever equipment you have available, whether you're at home or in a hotel gym.
Beyond just planning workouts, AI is also transforming advanced biometric monitoring through wearables. Let's talk about GUI-WOP.
GUI-WOP provides 247 physiological insights focused on 3 things: sleep, strain, and recovery. And the new high-end models, the 5.0 and the medical-grade one, are pushing this into a wellness space that used to be strictly for medical devices.
What are the key features that make it medical grade, with a big disclaimer that it's for wellness, not diagnosis?
The top-tier WHOOP offers things like ECG readings, on-demand AFib detection, that's atrial fibrillation, a key indicator of an irregular heartbeat, and daily blood pressure insights. It's a level of internal tracking that goes way beyond just counting steps.
They also track more complex things, like health span and pace of aging.
They do. It's a very comprehensive view, but again, with that essential legal disclaimer that it's for personal awareness and optimization, not for a doctor to make a clinical decision with.
And then there's NeuroFit, which is a really interesting concept. It's an AI trainer for your nervous system.
It is. It uses mind-body techniques combined with real-time stress monitoring and biometric tracking, usually your heart rate variability. The AI analyzes your data and then guides you through things like targeted breathwork or mindfulness when it sees your biometrics indicate that your stress levels are rising.
So trying to train your body's physical reaction to stress.
Exactly. It's the sophisticated intersection of physical tracking and mental wellness coaching.
We have covered a huge and often contradictory landscape today, from the high-touch human connection of Talkspace to the habit building of Calm, all the way into this innovative but often murky world of AI companions and symptom checkers.
And the two paths we've explored are just fundamentally distinct. I think that's the context you, the listener, really have to carry forward. On one side, you have the established apps offering clinical structure and human support. They're more expensive, but they have a higher burden of proof.
And on the other side, you have the innovative AI companions. They offer instant, cheap access, but they face these huge unresolved issues around transparency and clinical testing.
We have to reiterate that clinical validation gap. It's real. While some apps like Wysa and Uber are making progress, the vast majority of AI health apps still lack rigorous testing. And we found that even these AI apps can still have significant cost barriers, averaging over $20 a month for some.
But the most crucial finding for me, the one that really stands out, is the transparency mandate. The widespread failure of big names like ADA and WebMD to provide explainable AI confidence scores, a rationale for their advice that highlights a critical systemic design flaw.
The message is just so clear. Trust is broken not just by a wrong answer, but by opaque logic. If you don't know why the AI made a recommendation, you can't truly trust it. And when your health is on the line, opaqueness is a safety risk.
So the takeaway seems to be that if you're looking for digital health support, you have to weigh that accessibility and cost against transparency and clinical validation.
And the most efficient models seem to be the ones that integrate the two. They use AI for personalization, but they maintain a clear human element or documented clinical validation, like we saw with Wysa.
And this brings us to the final, provocative thought to take away from this whole deep dive. As AI continues to get more and more involved in personalizing your health and your body, as it starts prescribing workouts, adjusting your sleep, suggesting psychiatric support, how much trust are you willing to surrender to that inevitable black box?
In this rapidly evolving future of digital health, we have to ask ourselves, is transparency a critical safety feature that we must demand from developers and regulators? Or will it become a luxury we're simply willing to sacrifice for the sheer convenience and immediate access of a 247 AI companion?
That's the question you need to keep asking every time you hit the accept button on one of these apps. We hope this deep dive has given you the context you need to answer it for yourself.